not just sending messages, not just calling people because there's an agenda attached to it. You know, like I've got to get to this rank. And so I've got to reach out to 10 people a day. Like, okay, that's great. Yes. And I understand that business part of your brain has to happen. We have to reach out to 5 people that we're working on. Then it becomes 10, and then it becomes, 20 and 30 and et cetera, right? But also you have to rehumanize yourself and come from a place, especially now in today's times, where I am thinking about the person on the other end, and they have to feel that. There's that famous quote by Maya Angelou, right? And people can feel if you care for them. They feel whether or not you're genuine and if you are truly providing value in their lives, or are they just going to block you, ignore you, and run from you, And so that's really important. I would say never underestimate the power of building a relationship. A lot of you have been coaching one-on-one, and some of you have said, I want to work more closely with you. Great. I am always going to lead you to recruiting. I'm always going to lead you to who are you reaching out to? Who are you valuing? Who are you placing value with? Who are you building? Who are you lifting up? Who are you getting to know? I've been working in cold market for the last three and a half years. There's very few that I would be working with in my warm market. And so it's really, really, for me, I think anyways, I think a lot of us for cold market, it's a little bit easier to just kind of send a message to a stranger, and it doesn't hurt if they just don't even reply. It's like, we don't take it as harsh, right? For some reason, we take it a little bit harder when we reach out to our network and they're a flat out no, right? But I would say, remember that perspective is key. And if they're a no right now, they're just a no right now, oftentimes. I remember pretty much I've recruited, I think 500, maybe almost 500 people to Q. I should know exactly how many, quite frankly. But I really only work with, 15 to 30 per month. And it's cyclical. It's not always the same. So those are the ones that I'm focused on per month, right? But I remember the ones especially that took a year, 2 years, 3 years to bring into my business, right? They were no's oftentimes in the beginning. And I had to get better to attract them to take a second or third or a 17th look. I had to get better because people join people. So I would say, let's make sure that you're doing 3 things every single day to build upon your recruiting of what's to come. I would say you can still circle up to people that you know. And granted, if you're new in this business, welcome. That's exciting. You have your whole warm list that you could still talk to, and that's great. I'm plus 7 years in the industry, so my warm market, a lot of my warm market knows what I do, and that's okay. But I'm still, every day, I'm still reaching out to some people in my warm market or circling back to them, especially now, to check in on how they're doing. I genuinely am doing that. I don't have the thought I'm going to recruit and sign them up as a customer or as ambassador yet, right? That's not where my brain goes yet. It might go there if that comes up in, conversing. But what I do is I'll check in on people first. So especially in my warm market where there's a relationship established. So it's more of, hey, how are you doing in these times? Is there anything that I can do for you and your family, or can I add you to my prayer list? I'm a big woman of faith. And that's like number 1 for me. And not everyone, is necessarily a believer. That's okay. Everyone has a place, of course, but I would say that that's one thing for me that people know is authentic and genuine with me. If they've known me, they know that's a big part of who I am. It's not advertised and thrown out on social media 24/7. It's just not what I've done in my social media necessarily. But people that know me and know me my whole life know it's a very important part of my life and number 1 for me. So for me to say that to someone that I've known, they know that's authentic. So you have to find your authentic self in reaching out to your warm market of how you could provide value for someone right now. That's key. So every day, if it's, hey, is there something that I can do for your family? I would say don't be stingy with samples right now. I would say this is the number 1 season of our network marketing career to be getting samples out of hemp for people that are experiencing anxiety, getting Align samples out for people that are experiencing pain. Maybe they can't go to the gym or their physical therapist or whatever it is that they can't go do right now. Maybe we can alleviate a little bit of pain relief, et cetera, help them have an easier time during this time, right? So maybe that's how you can reach out and share with your warm market that knows what you do already, right? Some of you are still in that warm market. You are doing your launch. You spent at least an hour, like Brandon said, with your sponsor. Oh, by the way, Brandon, sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out. That was the most awesome training as well. You were fire today. Everyone's been on fire. So anyhow, I would say Brandon said at least an hour with your sponsor. That's just the first time that you're launching, right? You are locking arms and you're talking every single day. And I used to hear this from our mentor in our last company too, that would say, kiss the brand new person that you brought into the business every morning, and you better roll over and kiss them before you go to sleep at night. Not physically, and of course none of us are physically kissing each other, but the idea behind that is that you're checking in with them every morning and you're checking in with them every night, and sometimes throughout the day, right? Like you are married to that person until you get that person to at least executive in this business. Okay, so that's another thing. When you are prospecting, you're recruiting, it's not, the idea of I'm going to bring this person, the information, and then I'm going to stop the process. Like the process continues, right? So sometimes we have 2 to 7 to 15 touches with somebody before they join your business. At Q, it's actually been condensed. We have just a couple touches because so many people want to know about staying healthy and building their immune system and being a part of a company quickly that they can make a paycheck by next Friday, because people are out of pay right now, right? So I don't want to say use that to your advantage because that sounds horrible, but in a way, we're using this time and season in this place to be able to care for others, let people know we exist, let people know we can get them paid by next Friday. That's huge. So I would say, one, back again, just want to make sure I'm reiterating this, that we are reaching out to our warm market and checking in, genuinely checking in, not with the intention on, I'm going to introduce them and invite them to a webinar right away. Like that would not be cool. If somebody just like messaged me and was like, I haven't talked to you in 10 years. How are you? Do you have time to look at a webinar? Because I really think, due to everyone losing their jobs, like it would just make sense that you would hop on because you probably need to make money. Like, no, I've seen and heard things like that in my career, right? I would say build that conversation to get to that spot. And same goes with cold messages too. A lot of I spend a lot of time on Instagram. This is one message actually that I sent last night. And I send messages every day. I am just starting relationships, right? And I'm just trying to pique interest so they take a look and they follow, and maybe there's interaction down the road. And this can be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Those are the 3 that I think are the most powerful for what we do when you're only working in your cold market, okay? The last quite a few recruits that I've brought in have been from this cold market messaging, getting to know, okay? And I'll tell you that in a minute. So number 1, we're working still on warm market. We're still checking in on people. We're reaching out to people. Number 2, you're messaging at least 10 to 20 random strangers per day. Okay. I just take Sundays off personally, but when Frank falls asleep at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I actually do get back on and I message more. So that's just the truth. Okay. Anyways, that's Sunday night, every Sunday night. Yeah. Okay. Here's one right here. Hey there, I know this is random, but since we have health as a priority in common, just thought it never hurts to ask. We work with a hemp company and are not selling our hemp in Canada yet, parentheses. Would you be open to discussing when we get closer to being able to sell it there? I can add you to my follow-up list if interested. If not, all good, and keep rocking and praying for all during this time. This is a little different, total stranger. I kind of went in for the kill. I don't always do that. I don't send like just copy paste messages like that. I kind of look at someone's page, see if we have something in common. You know, if we're both believers in Christ, I might even say that right now. I might even just message with that first and foremost and say, hey girl, saw that you're a believer too. I'm going to keep your family in my prayers. You know, I love that we have this season that I really believe that God is basically giving us this intentional time with our families. Like, do you believe the same? Or, you know, I'm just trying to start conversations. That's what I do sometimes too. So it's a little bit different, but I wanted to give you at least one way of reaching out to people in Canada or reaching out to wherever you want to, you know, intentionally build. I also like to reach out randomly to people in specific pockets and specific markets of people that might have something in common with a leader on my team that I can connect them. Okay. So anyhow, number one, again, let's circle back, recap. People you know. Number two, complete cold messages every single day. That is key, key, key. Number three, following up with people that have liked or commented on any of your Q posts ever, okay, in the last 2 years, the last year, the last 2 months, however long you've been in Q. I would say something to the effect of, hey, thanks for the support. Thanks for the like. Thanks for the comment. You know, can I ask what you liked about it? You know, whatever you want to say there, right? I think that's important, again, to start dialogue and to see what it was that piqued their interest. And sometimes I don't, again, always go in for, you know, can I invite you onto a webinar? Like, that's not where the conversation goes, right? So definitely take inventory on who is liking and commenting on any posts related to Q, and maybe even some that are not necessarily Q, but people that are watching you. You know, maybe they're just, again, they just have some time and they're genuinely interested in what you're doing in your life. I would reach out. I would take note. Anybody that's liked or commented. If you are not posting on social media every single day and your Insta stories and Facebook stories, I just saw Kristen's face. You're a bit behind, mama. That's because she's been building this virtual regional for all of us. But I mean, that's because right now, especially right now in this season, you have got to take advantage of the social media interaction that is playing, because people will stalk and watch. Like, I'm going to go stalk Becky. They will stalk you first, and the seeds get planted before they might even work with you. People have told me flat out that they have stalked my page, they have visited my page, they have watched videos. I know Kristen Adams did this to make sure I'm not crazy before they'll even have a conversation with me about products or business. You know, that's important. So if your social media page looks attractive to you, like you would sign up with you, awesome, right? If it doesn't, you better go scrub that bad boy. You know, that's important. Remember that your social media right now, especially now, is your branding and your signature, okay? I can't answer the door. I'm live on Facebook. Sorry. Okay, go around. Ah! Oh my gosh. You guys can all message Frank for that one. Ah! Send him 100 messages like, you interrupted her flow. Ah, I gotta fix my hair. Okay. Okay, so social media branding is key right now. That's all we have, right? Some people believe the social distancing is going to, you know, miraculously end. Like, it is not, okay? Like, and the whole world forever is going to change. But guess what? I think it's exciting. I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I'm excited for change. I wrote this in our Q News Facebook Live yesterday. I stare fear in the face and I go, bring it on, mother. You know what? Like, let's go, you know? We've got to adapt and transition and grow and be flexible in this life. Nothing is going to stay the same, right? So we have to evolve. If you are not using social media, if you're not using LinkedIn, if you're not using Instagram, if you're not using Facebook to reach out to new people when your network has said, you have to figure it out. You've got to evolve. You've got to learn. You've got to follow the people that are doing it, right? I don't just make social media posts on my own. Sometimes I do. I have my own thoughts, obviously, but I also go watch people that I'm like, oh, that inspired me. Cool. I actually have a folder on my phone of things that have inspired me over the years. And I'm using that now for my own content and making it my own. So that's really important. I think that your associations are everything. And if you look at your 5 associations, truly look at your 5 associations, and you realize what energy you're receiving and what energy you're outputting, it's very clear that you might need to adjust those associations, not for forever, right? It's just that we're all in different places mentally, and people are not dumb. They are watching you and they are deciding, do I want to work with him? Do I want to work with her? Do I want to work with them? Right? This is important. This is key. This is going to elevate where you're at. I love some advice I've received from some of the top recruiters right now. Kristen Penfound, congrats, mama. Kristen Penfound has become one of my closest friends. And I can get emotional and choked up thinking about the conversations we've had over the years that have been tough conversations. I've been a flat out bitch at times to her, saying, get your head out of your own, you know what, like, let's go to work, right? In 6 years, I've watched this woman grow and become attractive to her network, to where she was the top recruiter in our company, on the board, one of the top, in the top 3. And this is why who she was 6 years ago might not have attracted people into where she was. Yes, she was a business owner for many, many years and knew how to run a successful business, but it's different when you're trying to attract people and you're trying to lead people versus providing a product or service, right? So her tips I want to share with everybody is to be consistent. Not everyone says yes the first time you share. I'm literally reading her notes, okay? When you share info, make sure you set a follow-up and make sure you find out what their interest level is so you can take them to the next step. I love asking that question. I love saying, on a scale from 1 to 10, where do you see yourself, on the scale from 1 to 10 interest level? What's your interest level in Q? And when people say 1 through a 5, I'm kind of like, okay, they need a lot more information, or it's just not the right fit, right? But if they're a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I learned this from Mark Mishu. I say, okay, how can I get you closer to a 10? Sometimes they need to try a product. Sometimes they need to watch some more webinars. Sometimes they need to get into the testimonial page, right? So really gauging where people are at. I think that the recruitment process is all about the relationships. It always will be the relationship. So if somebody feels valued on the other end in terms of being brought into the Q family, you need to make sure you're doing a really good job of doing that. What I like to do to say to people that are uber successful in general, and I've used this 100 million times, I have said, hey, you're super successful at what you've done. I've admired you from afar, or I've admired you my whole life, or I've admired you in the last 3 years of you being a business, badass, whatever. Can I say that? I don't know. Okay. Whatever you want to say there, right? I'm just honest and I say lots of those words, but Jesus still loves me. So anyways, I would say I would love to get your eyes and ears on this. I'd love for you to validate this for me. Do you have time at 6 o'clock tonight to hop in onto a webinar? Again, I respect what you've done in business. I've respected you for a long time. I'd love to get your eyes and ears on something. That might be the time that you bring that into the process, right? Sometimes I just go for that in the beginning. If it's somebody, again, that is someone I look up to, someone that's had a lot of success, I'm trying to sponsor up. More importantly, I don't care if they don't join Q. The seed will be planted. They'll come back to me when they need to buy hemp. They'll come back to me when they have pain issues. They'll come back to me when they have inflammation. They'll come back to me, come back to me, come back to me. So it's just a numbers game. I don't take it personally. I'm just out messaging, out sharing, out following up, out inviting the next person in the industry. That's how I view it. If I'm not inviting people to take a look or to have conversations, they will join with somebody else in this season of network marketing. And that's the way I look at it. Because so many people are needing and wanting and praying for what we have. But if we're not out sharing and inviting and opening our mouth, how will they know that we exist? How will they know that they have a spot here, waiting for them? Some of you have mentioned some really great books. Some of the trainers have mentioned some really good books to grab a hold of, or like Taryn said, audios, because that's a lot easier for a lot of us, because I have a lot of books too. This Go for No is pretty great. If you haven't ever heard of this, I like listening to it. Yeah, Becky's thumbs up. But the initial quote that I love right here, just opening into the very beginning, do not be too timid and squeamish in your actions. All life is an experiment. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Right? Do not be too timid and squeamish in your actions. How many of us sit squeamish like, oh, should I send that? Did that text sound right? Did that message, you know? That's why I like sending audios where they can hear my voice, and I like sending videos. I don't sometimes always do it right away. I like, you know, interacting a little bit and then sending some videos and some audios, of course, too, because it rehumanizes the business right now, because we can't meet up for a coffee and have a sit down face to face. You know, that's yesteryear. That's network marketing 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, you know, and even last year in Q, we were doing sit downs, coffee, but the world is evolving. We've got to grow. Kristen also shared, I'm sharing my story of debt and being a struggling business owner too. So she is making sure when she's reaching out to people, people know that she's having success here. But prior, she might have been struggling, you know, had to close her doors. She can't groom dogs right now. There's a lot of people that we can be reaching out to and messaging and providing hope and an alternative option for making money right now. And I think that's really, really key and really, really important. And that's what I wanted to make sure that we're conveying. There's a lot of people that have started reaching out on Instagram. I started working with quite a few of you where you can look for certain hashtags that might, you know, resonate with you. If Tara resonates more with dancers, she can specifically look for dancers on Instagram. That's why I like that. You know, I actually joined a Facebook group about 6 or 7 months ago. I joined a Facebook group. Met quite a few people in there, sent private messages, started conversations, started getting to know people. It was a health and wellness Facebook group. And it had like, I don't know, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, right? And I just had it, I think I sent like 40 messages of getting to know people, and I found one where we developed a really great relationship, you know, really strong, and we, you know, pray for each other's families. And, you know, I'm really praying, this is the month actually that she's going to get started, you know, but I didn't necessarily start with that intention 6 months ago. That's definitely not where it was. There was another Facebook friend I met who I recruited into the company. And again, relationship building, because she was really interested in hemp for sure. Met her in a hemp Facebook group. And we were just conversing back and forth. And she said something along the lines of, so many people were messaging me about different companies, but you sent me, you know, personal videos. I got to know you. You know, because she lives in another country. Abby will probably get to watch this later. I hope that Abby does. But Abby got to know me and felt like she got to know me because of the videos that we, you know, I sent, you know, and that was totally outside my comfort zone. You know, I usually do videos with people I know, warm market. I started doing it with some people I don't know and don't have a relationship with at all. But that's the number one reason she got on stage when she hit silver in Australia. She said, gosh, you know, so many people were reaching out to me, but Mariel, you know, sent videos and I got to see her, and they were, you know, happy videos and silly videos, and my hair wasn't perfect and nothing was perfect about it. You know, it was just more human. Okay, Kristen, how much time do I have?
If you want, you don't have to talk. It's ready, I hear.
Oh, I can't hear you. What'd you say?
I
have 10. Okay. Okay, good. I just, I didn't even look at the clock when I got started. I just started going, you know, that's what happens when you drink Q Sport, and maybe even 2. But anyways, I have a couple other messages for some people that I think are important and vital for us to understand. That the recruitment is that it's a process, right? Like, I wouldn't say that anybody typically gets married on the first date, unless you watch that reality show where it's like married at first sight or whatever the hell it's called. But I would say that is not typical. Like 99.99% of the world does not get married on the first date, like, or on live TV or on recorded TV or whatever. Okay. Maybe we'll be having this conversation in 20 years where that is happening. Who knows? But right now, in today's time, you have to be current. To be a current recruiter, you need to be current. And that is not what's happening. People need time to get to know you, get to know Q, sometimes, okay? And then there are some that are just like, let's go, let's jump in, let's dive in, let's go for it. That's cool too, right? So anyhow, I would say that, recruitment's always going to boil down to how many people are on your list. And do you know that I actually never really understood when I hear people join the team and I hear people join the business, I think our systems here, it's super validating to understand that when people actually follow our system, when they actually get launched the right way, when they actually reach out and start getting traction and talking to people and using their upline for support, right? When you play the connector role, it's one thing to recruit somebody, but it's another thing to play the connector role. When you get yourself out of the way and you connect your prospect to somebody else in the team and you teach them that, and then you do that to duplicate your business, that's a whole nother level of brilliance, getting your ego out of the way. Even me, I do not tell people how much I make in Q. I do not tell people my rank in Q. I don't tell people, go look at the comp plan, see what I make. Like, that's not how I recruit. I say, hey, oh, you're a nurse. I know a nurse who's killing it. I actually should connect you guys so you guys can chat to see if this might be something that would be great for your family to implement and see, if it's a good fit. I get my ego out of the way 150%. When you learn that and you learn how to be a connector with your prospects, you will be wildly successful. Trust me with that, because then they know to be the connector. I see a lot of people and leaders on my team that try to bring in people on their own, try to do everything on their own. But in 90 days, it shows up on the board. Like, okay, who's recruiting, who's not. It's just how it is. I'm not calling anyone out. I don't need 100 text messages. I'm just saying, matter of fact, like, if you play the connector role and get yourself out of the way, watch what happens in your business. It's brilliant. Okay. My newest recruit that I just brought in, he can't say, oh, I'm a black diamond, let me tell you all about Q, or this is what I make. No, he hasn't made a paycheck yet, right? It's more of, here, let me get you on the phone with somebody. Just as Becky said earlier, it's the same thing with recruiting, not just with customer acquisition, but it's very similar with recruiting. A lot of your customers will also become your ambassadors. There's a big, percentage actually that when they start having their testimonies, right? When Becky had an amazing testimony, she felt compelled to start sharing, right? It becomes less, I don't want to say forced, but it's an easier share when you're able to say, hey, this has helped my son. This has helped my mom. This has helped my neighbor. This has helped me. And here's how. But I would love to connect you with somebody that has the same background that you do, because I think you guys could totally rap and talk about whatever you guys talk about. I think that's important. And let me just connect you to that person. I think you just really need to meet this person. However you want to say it, that makes sense, right? Okay. Let's see. My notes. I actually did have notes. Okay. I've got somebody that is circling back to me right now, ironically, because let's see, 3 years ago, November 20th, 2017, I met this gal on social media, and we have been talking for a very long time, clearly. And she just circled back to me last night. So if your social media, again, message is right and on point, people will circle back and reach out, right? But do I put any eggs in that basket hoping someone's going to message me? No, right? In the very beginning, when you come to a company, you will get messages. Yeah, people will message you. They'll ask you, what you're doing, things like that. But eventually that stops and that's quiet, right? And you have to go out and really apply action to make sure that people still know you're in business, that people still know you're excited, that people still know you're passionate about what you're doing. And do we all struggle in seasons with our belief? Heck yes. I am not here to tell you that I 100% believe in myself or even believe in Q. I'll be honest with you. Like, it's human nature moments where you're like, I don't believe I can do this today. I don't believe I can do this next week. Like, oh, I don't know, believe, right? I mean, I shouldn't say I don't believe in Q. I 100% believe in Q. Obviously, that's not what I meant. I just mean sometimes, right? There's seasons, there's moments. But for me, it's in a minute here and there. It's not days. It's not weeks. It's not months. You are dead in this industry if you make those moments last longer than a minute or two here and there, and you don't string those minutes together. Those minutes cannot be hours and days and months and weeks, okay? You need to figure out quickly how to change your mindset, reset it. This quarantine time for me has been amazing for resetting my brain and my mind, and reading and listening to audios and journaling and manifesting what I want it to look like. I do not read old newspaper clippings. Okay. I had a mentor tell me that all the time in my last company, and I never really quite understood it until I came to Q, right? I don't read about Mariel Filippone hitting black diamond or some months hitting blue diamond. I don't read about what I did 7 years ago, 5 years ago. I tell people sometimes so they background and they just know that, yeah, okay, she's serious. She means business. You know, she's been here 7 years. Like, that was her story. But I don't live with, I've recruited 100 people in, you know, I don't know, whatever the heck, last company in my, I don't even know what it was. Let's say the first year. Okay. I don't even know. I don't keep track. I'm just saying I don't live there because that's old news. That doesn't serve me presently, and it doesn't serve my future. So you have to understand that every single day you are making a choice to get into action or to live in the past. And living in the past, for me, doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve any of us here. It doesn't serve my leaders. It doesn't serve my family. It doesn't serve any of us. And I know it's easier said than done, but picking up new books, you know, learning new things, you know, picking up a branding book. I recently bought a branding book. I don't know. I just wanted to learn a little bit more about it. I don't know anything about branding, really. I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. You know, some of these amazing people on Instagram, you're like, wow, that person's got all their shit together. Like, wow, you know, like they really know what the hell they're doing. Like, wow, you know, and then you like dive in, you're like, oh, wait, maybe not. Okay. That's just a big facade. Like, you know, like there's real, and then there's not so real that looks kind of real aesthetically really quickly at a first glance, right? We want to build authentic relationships, an authentic space, an authentic culture. We want to keep people here authentically. We're not forcing anybody. There's no convincing. That's what I love. We had a couple Zooms this week, quite a few. One in which that Francesca Fields and Tara and I all did. And the gal on the other end just said, I don't feel like y'all are desperate for me. Like, and we were like, that's right. The number one thing that I'll never forget that Mr. Mark Wilson and Mr. Jake Spencer said across from the board table when I came to look at Q was, we know you've been offered checks to go to other companies. We know that we, you know, may lose you and you don't come to Q, you know, but we are not going to write you a check to come here. We are just going to wait patiently for the right leadership to show up. And I will never forget those words. And those words are so valuable to me because I knew that the next person and the person 10 years from now was going to be told the exact same thing. And when you start a company that way and you're founded and rooted that way, nobody gets leveraged and taken advantage of. Now, somebody might feel insecure at times about certain things, but that's not exactly reflective of who Q is and what we are here to do and what our mission is, right? And so I would say, remember again that you might not be exactly an emerald yet in the making, okay? You might not be a ruby, a platinum, a gold yet, okay? And please don't take it personally or think that you're not good at this. Some of us have just spent a lot of time developing ourselves and not in the past. You know, I am developing right now. Kristen is developing right now. Mr. Jake Spencer is developing right now. Who Jake was 2 years ago is not who Jake is today. Okay? And I'm not talking any trash. Maybe I am a little bit. I don't know. But I love that man. And I believe him. And I trust him. And I trust Mark. Mark is the same. He's the same dude for sure. Like he's amazing. He's a rock star. I mean, we are so blessed to have him as our CEO and founder, y'all. Like, seriously, I met a lot of them, okay? And I didn't like, whatever. I'm just saying, I was going to go there with a weird analogy about the frog and the kiss, but that doesn't really make sense. So never mind. What I was going to say is that Mark is truly the real deal, right? Jake is the first to admit to you now, I think, I don't know if it was then 2 years ago, that he has improved and that he's growing and that he doesn't have all the answers. And I like that. I appreciate that. I will tell you, I don't have all the answers. Like some of you have called, I've taken a lot of your calls, right? Where you're in a funk or you're this or you're that or whatever, right? Or you're super happy and you're like, this is amazing. I'm stoked, right? We go through that roller coaster of emotions. By the way, Darren Hardy, Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster. If you are new to the team, please, please, please download that and listen to Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster. Please, please, please. Okay? Because that's normal, right? Ups and downs. But when your calls come in, right? The only thing that's important to me is that, are you okay? Are you healthy? Okay, good. Now, what are we going to do about switching it in your mindset? What are we going to do to get you into activity? That's all I know how to do as a coach. I'm not a therapist, and a lot of you should not be. We should not be spending our time with our prospects, with our team members necessarily on that. Now, you can for a little bit, of course, like be empathetic to everyone's situations, but you can't spend every day, all day, like some of you have told me you're spending time, you know, with prospects and recruits like that, and even team members sometimes. It's okay to be empathetic. Of course, absolutely, 100%. You better be, right? Especially in these times. But at the same time is money, and you've got to watch your clock, okay? You've got to set your clock on, this is my time block that I'm reaching out to new people for new blood to get into my funnel. That will keep you alive in this industry for a very long time. And the only reason why I'm here where I am, and a lot of the leaders are here where we are, is because we're always putting new people in our funnel. We're always having new conversations. We're always taking people through the recruitment process, respecting their time that they need to process. But if they're taking too long, we need to move on to the next person also, too. We can still love on them. We love on all, absolutely. But we have to pull some new people into our process. So Class A prospects is something you guys have heard, and some of you maybe haven't. You want to make sure you have 10 Class A prospects at all times on your list. So I will always ask you, who are the 5 or the 10 or the 15 or the 20 or the 30 people on your list right now? But I want to know about the 10 this week that we are going to take through the process, the beginning stages of process. Maybe it's just you still have to reach out and just say hi to them. That's okay. That's part of the process. If you haven't done that and circle back with people, then you just start from where you're at and just be honest on where you're at, you know, and let's go through the process and the recruitment process together. I love you all. I'm so grateful.